We're still in the first month of 2020, but this year is proving to be an intense one for the pro-life issue. And it's especially uphill for the House of Representatives, which is under a pro-abortion Democratic leadership. To get a better idea of what the pro-life battle looks like in the House, we speak now with Representative Jeff Fortenberry of Nebraska, who joins us from Capitol Hill. Congressman, welcome back to the show.
Catherine, great to talk to you again. Thanks for all of your good work.
Thank you. First off, I want to get your reaction to President Trump becoming the first U.S. president to attend the March for Life rally.
An amazing, amazing moment. You know, for years, I remember when I was a young student, President Reagan spoke to the March for Life remotely. I believe President Bush did the same thing. But to have a sitting United States president come out there on stage, address this in a most heartfelt way, this deep wound in the soul of America, but also encourage the tens of thousands of young people there, was deeply meaningful to me and so many others across the nation. Unprecedented, unbelievable. Great job, Mr. President. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Congressman, speaking of your leadership, you are on the House Appropriations Committee, which oversees government funding. As a pro-life congressman, what do you have to keep your eye out on for the Appropriations Committee?
Well, this is a very great question, because as the government spends, so the government does. That's an old expression that I invented a long time ago. You can talk about policy all day long, but what you put your money in is highly important. You know, we've seen some very good people in the administration, particularly the Secretary of Health and Human Services, actually elevate the idea of conscience rights and protection of people's religious perspective, as well as their deeply held sincere beliefs in healthcare, preventing people, for instance, from having to participate in abortion procedures, actually making grant-making systems fairer so that pro-life communities, people who have the reasoned scientific belief that the unborn child is worthy not only of dignity but also legal protection, not be forced into the participation of an act of abortion or even be proximate to it. These are the kinds of things that you work on to ensure that funding streams are going in the proper way. But look, we have a very big divide in the country. Planned Parenthood is significantly funded. They're the biggest abortion provider here and in the world, and it's a sad, sad reality. And while, again, you try to sequester money and move it toward more productive and better uses, noble uses, nonetheless, this is a deep, deep fight.
Do you have to keep a closer watch for pro-life concerns in budgeting, considering the Democratic House leadership?
Well, in general, even the appropriations culture until the last few years really wasn't pro-life, so there wasn't an attentiveness to this consideration as a part of the normal proceedings of the Appropriation Committee. But it's changed. It now is. Elections do matter. Elections have consequences. And so while we don't win every battle, nonetheless, mitigating the use of taxpayer money to underwrite the abortion industry, which is so devastatingly harmful to women and unborn child, is a key component of what many, many people on this side of the aisle believe, and it's reflected in the Appropriations Committee deliberation. Do we win every fight? No. Have we mitigated many bad things? Yes. Do we have a lot of work to do to convict our colleagues? Hey, in the very least, Americans agree that taxpayer money shouldn't be subsidizing the abortion industry. That's a widely held view among Americans, even Americans who identify as pro-choice. So that's something that we hold to and continue to hold up as a reasoned position, not a compromised position, but a reasoned position, while we actually also work to change hearts and minds in the culture.
Finally, speaking of being pro-life on Capitol Hill, as a Catholic pro-life congressman, what do you see as the top pro-life goal for the House of Representatives to strive towards?
Well, it's a two-edged issue. One is, again, you have to create the political preconditions in which there is legislative activity. And the country is so sadly divided over abortion that I think it's incumbent upon those of us who are not just in the legislature, but who are part of this bigger belief system, that life, no matter how small, has dignity and is worthy of protection. You know, in our country, we have a fascinating and frankly beautiful political movement around a single word: tolerance, celebrating diversity, inviting those who may not have felt welcome before. But we exclude one group of people, them, the smallest, innocent most vulnerable child in the womb and their mothers that carry them. That is a paradox and a contradiction that cannot be reconciled by young people particularly, who have a relational, empathetic desire to see everyone included. So we're making good progress in terms of shifting the mind and the heart and the culture, and this is really due to so many good young people. On the legislative front, though, that means, again, trying to argue that taxpayer money should not subsidize the abortion industry. That's one of the most important things we will do. Of course, there are other important bills out there that are harder to get through, but nonetheless, point to life beginning at conception, trying to stop abortion when a heartbeat is detected, trying to stop abortion when the unborn child can feel pain. Even people who may not accept the fullness of our view on the pro-life issue at conception, nonetheless should be able to consider that when an unborn child feels pain, maybe that's when the line for abortion at this point should be drawn. So there's a lot of legislative attempts to, again, keep this in the forefront of the conscience of the nation, so that one day it's not about a crisis pregnancy, it's about how we respond as a community to someone in need, a mother and their unborn child, and possibly the father as well. That's what's called solidarity. That's what we have to move toward. That's what young people are eager for in our country. That will heal this great wound and great divide that's called abortion, that's promulgated by the abortion industry.
I look forward to that day. Representative Jeff Fortenberry of Nebraska, thank you for your time.
Pleasure to be with you, Catherine. Thank you so much.